Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Chris McDonald Podcast. It is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. That's right. We are in February now, and February hopefully will not be terribly cold, and my little golfers will be able to come and pay me a visit at the golf course at Legacy, of course. Love to have you guys come up and visit us. At any rate, this week we're going to just kind of discuss a few things, whatever I get the itch to talk about, and we will certainly be going over some very interesting topics and hope that you find them so. When I do get done tonight, and I do post this up on the YouTube page, which you can find, it'll be at Christopher McDonald Podcast Show. You can go and type that into YouTube and you'll find it in there. Click on that. Do mark your likes, do leave comments, do whatever that you think, how I can improve the thing. Should I keep doing it? You let me know, and I'll be interested to hear your comments. I do want to say a couple of thank yous for the past month that we've been doing this thing. It's been 1 month. This is number 4, believe it or not. I do want to thank John Hutchinson at Great Falls Wealth Management, Great Lakes Wealth Management. That's the one. Another one we'll open up later at some point. But anyway, but John, I want to thank him for the doing the first one with us. I want to thank Margaret McGrath, my health coach. She helped us out with the second one. Of course, Jamie and all of her crew over at Remax here in Rockingham. I appreciate you guys really getting this off the ground for us. It's been very successful. I think that folks are really enjoying it. So please keep watching, and please do comment and let me know how we can do it better. We'll try to do more on site as we go along, as the weather warms up. Take it on the road, as it were. I do hope to talk to the Darlings, who are doing a wonderful job down on the corner, down off of Fayetteville Road, of the Fox House. They're rebuilding it, doing a great deal of remodeling it, changing it into its former beauty that it was. So there'll be a lot of things. Like I said, we'll be moving around the community, and who knows? We'll be at some of the celebrations, at some of the festivals that'll be going on, and I might wind up walking around just to talk to you. So if you see me wandering around with a camera in my hand and it seems like I'm talking to myself, I'm probably not. I'm just recording the podcast. So we'd love to have you come by and say hello. Also, folks, I just wanted to let you know we've kind of had an issue here at the house. Had the washing machine go and die on us. It was a sad deal. But regardless, went over and saw our friend Johnny Capps and his fine people over at JC's Appliances off of number 1 South. And folks, let me tell you, the customer service over there is second to none. Johnny and his whole crew over there just do a whale of a job. And I just wanted to thank them for all that they've done for us. Any attachments, any work that needed to be done, anything of the sort. I do want to thank him for all of their hard work and what they do for the community. So if you are looking for any good appliances, used appliances, Johnny is the man to go see. That's JC's off of number 1 South in Rockingham. Do want to remind you, there are some other folks in the community, friends and whatnot, who are doing their own podcasts, who are doing their own thing. Adam Morris, good friend of mine, known him since he was in high school, seems like 100 years ago. Adam does an Artifacts live Facebook every week, or Facebook Live, excuse me, let me say it correctly. And he does that every Thursday at 6 p.m. If you go to my Facebook page, that's Chris McDonald, you will be able to see the link. Click on that link, and then you can go. And Adam has just numerous things on his page there that he does a live auction with it. A lot of people, I've seen them. So former mayor and we, according to what I understand, the sexiest collard grower farmer in the state, Lee Berry, goes on there and looks at a few of the different artifacts that he has. He has a wonderful arrowhead collection. He sells some knives. He has some other antiques and whatnot that he does sell. So very successful. That has been doing that for a few years. I used to log into it and follow it when I lived in Michigan, and he's just doing just fabulous with it. So Thursday night at 6 o'clock, just if you can't get to my Facebook page, just type in Adam Morris and click on that, and then you'll see his link to the auction. So that way you can bid and whatnot. So be sure you check out Adam, and he'll get you fixed up with anything that you might be interested in. I want to start tonight. I have a quote. I'm a quote guy. It's the old newspaper writer in me, and I always like to give a theme for the evening, and the theme for this evening is, if you aspire to be anything, be the really best one in the room. And that's important whenever you go and try to attempt to do something. In the business, world that I've been in golf, in education, in radio, and whatever that I've attempted, I've met a lot of people. I've met a lot of successful people. Many guys that I know that are, have been successful in professional sports, in collegiate sports, and people who've been successful in business, people who have been successful in a lot of different things. And the one thing that they always have done is they tried to be the best. They went out and they put their best foot forward. And in some days they put their best foot forward, and it just wasn't, but they went out and tried their best. They tried to do the best that they possibly could. They went and they worked and they tried. Sorry about that. An update popped up all of a sudden. But at any rate, they tried to do the best they could. They went out and worked, and they worked hard. And we look at our people. Jamie, when we were speaking with her last week, we talked about, we're the same age. Jamie, has been in the real estate business since she was 18 years old. And I hate to do this to her, but that's almost 39 years ago. And so, for 39 years, she has worked to that Remax hustle, so to speak, out working the business. You have a lot of other people. Johnny Cap's wife, Gwenda, I'm really going to make Gwenda mad at me for saying this, but she was an English teacher when I got to Rockingham Junior High in 1980. She'd been there a couple of years at the time. And then when I went to work at Rockingham Junior High in 2002, Gwenda was still there teaching. And, and so it was, she put her nose to the grindstone, and she worked, and she strove, and she became a wonderful English teacher. And I can just go through a list of teachers, that have existed and that still are out there, really working hard and doing the best that they can. And, that's the big thing about it. You want to try to be the best one in the room. You want to try to be that person, and then you pass that down, and all of that with the leadership, with what you do. A long time ago, I had this friend of mine. His name was Greg Benson. Greg was the first golf professional that I ever worked for. And I'll just go ahead and kind of tell you the story. I just come from working for a golf tour that we went around the United States, and you can't see it, but it's over behind the television screen. It was called the Senior Series Professional Golf Tour. And the business plan of it was to become a Nike tour or a developmental tour for the senior players that wanted to get on the senior tour, now called the Champions Tour. And so we went around the United States and put on several tournaments and did real well with it. However, we got all called into a meeting, oddly enough, on the 15th of March of 1996, which ironically enough, it was the Ides of March, as it were, for my Shakespeare folks. That's Julius Caesar Day. And they told us that they're closing down immediately on that day. So I had to go find a job. And I wound up going over, I was living over in Winston-Salem, and I wound up going over to Moxville. And there's a course there. It's called Hickory Hill Country Club at the time. It's long since changed names. And they had there's a guy there by the name of Greg Benson. He was a head golf pro. And he said, yeah, well, okay, well, we'll hire you, no problem. So I went to work for Greg. And Greg was an interesting sort, God bless him. He at one point he was part of one of a motorcycle, I guess you'd almost call it a gang type of a deal. Lived down in Key West, hung out down in like a lot of the bars down there with Jimmy Buffett and whatnot. And but he had always been a fantastic golfer. And well, he finally got his ducks in a row, got married, and he taught me a lot about the non-glamorous side of the business, about how to run the cart barn, about how to about mowing the grasses, about what grasses are involved in the golf world. And he told me one time, he said, there's two things you always must remember about the golf business, and this works every time. He said, always remember, the walls have ears and the trees have eyes. And what that means is there's always somebody watching and there's always someone listening. And I have, throughout my career, especially with my teaching career, I've told the kids, I said, always remember that. If you see a piece of paper in the middle of the hallway, pick it up, throw it in the trash can. Speak no evil about anyone else, because that person may walk in the door on you. And I'll always keep that in the front of your mind. And I remember the day Greg told me that. And I've tried to remember that from that point. That was around late 96, early 97. And I wish that I could have learned more from Greg, but I wound up getting injured in a car accident. And Greg was there. I mean, he called every day, broke all the bones in my right foot, had to come back down here, move in with my parents over in Ellerby at the time, and to recuperate. And he called every other day, checking, make sure that I'm all right, and the whole bit. And I just couldn't ask for a better friend to do that with. And Greg is no longer with us right now. There is a longer story with that, but he just was a great guy, and he did have a few, I guess, skeletons, I guess you would call it. But he was a delightful guy, and he looked out for everybody. And that's, I guess, really the basis of this, is that when you think about, when you go and do something, who's watching you do that? Sinatra told his son one day, after watching one of his performances, he knew that his son went in and he just kind of mailed it in. He kind of just half did it. He wasn't really working real hard at this one particular concert. And Sinatra, did short of jerking a nod at him and said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you out there doing your absolute best? These people paid their money to come and see you. These people paid their money, to be entertained and whatever. And you're out there, mailing it in. What are you doing?" And Sinatra Jr. said that he always remembered that. Now, I'll tell you, I mean, there are times, I know personally, I know that, people that I know, be them celebrities, be them local officials, be them whoever, there are some days that it's tough to drag yourself out of the bed to go and do whatever that you do, but you do it because it's expected. And I'm not saying, again, don't go, again, like my thing says, if you aspire to be anything, be the really great one in the room. And that's the thing about it. Go give your best for that. Be that person. Be that one that people look at. Okay? Be the one that when you walk into a room, people look and go, "Hey, I know that guy," right? So check him out. Let's see how he acts. Let's see how he treats the waitress. Let's see how he how he does, when he walks into church, when he walks into wherever, how does this person do that? And people, we will begin to notice things about people, and we will begin to look at things a lot differently. We will be a better type of people, when we learn from folks how we properly do things, how we properly, tip, how we properly talk to our, our fellow employees or whatever. That's the key thing. We always must take it into account, that we're all just people here. We are. And we all must be ourselves. And there are a lot of us that have been broken. There's a lot of us that have got crack marks and fracture marks across our hearts and across our our souls and whatnot. But those we can fill in. We can fill those in. And God helps us to do that. He fills in those cracks that are in our heart. He fills in those fractures that we have. And let me tell you, folks, it's hard because whether it's love, whether it's the person that you absolutely love, that you guys wound up not lasting together, or you wound up, something happened, that person can leave, and it can be years and years and years. But the thing is, that person's never going to really leave you. They'll be always there with you, and you'll be able to look back at the good times, and you'll slowly fill in those cracks, and you'll realize that, things changed, and things happened, and things are better now, and things are better than they even were or possibly could have been. And it's not a bad thing that you had the experience. You look at the experience. What did you learn with this person? What were the great times? And then that way you're able to have the closure that people need and people covet and people want. And that's the key thing on this, is that we must have faith that it's going to be better, that each day is going to get better. One of the things that my goals were when I started this thing, and I'm only, 4 shows into this, but when I started this thing, I wanted to sheer away from politics completely. I wrote a diatribe and I think I read it to you guys on the first or second show, but anyway, it basically just said, I'm not going to do politics, and I refuse to. I'll interview whomever, Republican, Democrat, eggplant, whatever. It doesn't matter. I just like to talk to people, and I like to talk to people about everything. I want to know about them. I want to know that you're the best orchid grower in Richmond County, that Miss Flossie makes the best turnip greens, in the county, whomever that it may be. Mr. Smith is over here. He does the best barbecue. Whomever that I want to be able to talk to people about that. What got them started into that? Everyone has a story. And that's what my goal is with this. I call it a podcast. It's just me basically getting on here rambling and going interviewing people that I know. But one person I do, want to mention again, Adam Morris. Like I said, I've known Adam forever, and 6 o'clock tomorrow night on Facebook, he will be doing his artifacts. And like I said, he does have a number of interesting artifacts, and maybe we'll get Adam on here one night and we'll interview him. But you can go to the link, go to my Facebook page, and go to the link, click on that, and then that will get you attached to Adam for tomorrow night. He always has a little timer on there that shows his countdown to where how many minutes that he had, whatever that he's doing. I think it's a 3-minute each time that he's selling something or whatever it does. But he does a great deal, and he sends these things all over the place. They're just all over the country. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's done any into Canada or to Mexico or anywhere yet. But people just have this interest for these beautiful these beautiful arrowheads and pottery and everything that he finds. So, and he often posts on there. Matter of fact, he was walking over a railroad bridge yesterday out by the river looking for some artifacts. So be sure that you tune in with that. That's 6 o'clock tomorrow night on Facebook Live. As I said, just go to the link on my page and click on that, and that will that'll get you fixed up with Adam. So, as I said, we are looking tonight with our thesis, as we always have. If you aspire to be anything, be the really, really good one in the room. I have a couple of other things. Now, when I say that we need to try to be the best one in the room, that doesn't just mean you want to be the know-it-all. You want to be the best person in the room. Okay, you want your knowledge to be there. You want your you want to have a good personality. You want to be of good favor with people. And there's a lot of issues today with my lawyer friend, taught me the word puffery. I mean, there's a lot of bloviating and a lot of these other educated words, which basically means that arrogant, stuck up, really just overwhelming, overbearing, and whatnot. And there's a verse in the Bible about pride coming before the fall. And that's why pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. And I mean, it's a really bad, I would almost call it an addiction, and it could be. And I want to read this poem real quick to you. It's called Ozymandias, and it's by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Well, that Shelley last name may sound familiar to you guys. His wife, by the name of Mary Shelley, was the one who wrote the book called The Modern Prometheus. Now you're sitting here scratching your head, go, Modern Prometheus? I've never heard of it. Yes, you have. It's also known as Frankenstein. And the really cool story about that is that they were sitting around this castle over in Lord Byron, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and Mary Shelley were sitting around on a weekend, on a Friday evening, and they all made a bet on who could write the best book by the end of the weekend. Well, she goes and whips out Frankenstein, and in process creates a genre that was of this goth horror, and it was just amazing that she was able to do that. But she wrote it in a weekend. She was 19 years old. Phenomenal. Anyway, Ozymandias. Now, Ozymandias, it's a very dark poem, but it's not very long, and we'll talk about it when we get through it. So this is Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look not on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Well, in a nutshell, as my lovely mother has told me before, one should not get too big for one's britches. And that's basically the theme of that particular poem. Ozymandias was a king who thought that he was all that, to use the local kid colloquialisms. But yet he wasn't. He was just of bone and of skin. And when he died, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, guys. That's what he went to. His visage, his face, this crazy big statue that stood out in the desert had been knocked over, had fallen apart, had been destroyed. He didn't last forever. He was again, the kids' colloquialisms of all about himself. He was all about Ozymandias, loved him some Ozymandias, in other words. And he built this, and he's this is my greatness. This is me. Worship me. I am your idol. That's what he was saying in that. And it didn't work. Thou shalt not have any other idols above me, says the Lord. And that's what is happening right now in the world. There's far too many visages. There's far too many of these things that we are worshiping. And that's where the problem is lying. And far too many people in authority and in these particular offices that they happen to be in, they are making us, in some instances, almost choose. And we can't do that. We have to do the right thing. We have to pick and decide what is the right thing. And we know that the right way, I mean, the right way is Jesus's way. I know that he is going to be there for us. I know that he is going to take care of us. I know that he is the answer to everything. Not just, not just, well, I wonder if. No, he is the answer to everything. And we have to understand that he went on that cross. He had those nails put into his body, and he died for us. He made the choice to do that for us, for those of us whom he never even knew. And he put himself in that position, and he took those stripes because God and he both, and the Holy Spirit, all knew what we were going to face. And that's why he did what he did. And he loved us that much. And, as John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only son. And that's the whole story with it. He protects us. He looks after us. He wants us to be the best. He wants us to do our best. And we want to glorify him for allowing us to do these gifts that we have, be it sitting here in front of a camera, or be it standing in front of a classroom, or doing whatever, painting. Our good friend Rob is, he's got all of his paintings on display down at Arts Richmond, right downtown. So be sure you stop by and take a look at that as well. So, it's God wants us to be the best. He wants us to glorify him in doing so. And that's what we have to do. We have to glorify him. And he watches after us. He helps us to make choices. He helps us to do the right thing. And that's what he is here for. And that's what he does. Well, we've come to the end of our show tonight, and I tell you, these 30-minute things just take off and just get ahead of us. But I'm so happy that you guys tuned in today. I want you to have a good week and tune back in with me next Wednesday, boys and girls, is Valentine's Day. So you need to make sure that you do run down and see some of our local florists and whatnot, and be sure that you get the big bouquets or get the big boxes of candy or whatever it may be. Guys, go in there, bake your wife a pie. All right, do something like that. But you do remember that it is Valentine's Day. We will do a Valentine's show. I might be somewhere out in the community doing a Valentine's show. Who knows? But we thank you again for tuning in, and we hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And we'll see you next week on the Chris McDonald Show. Be sure to watch us on YouTube. That's Christopher McDonald Show podcast on YouTube. And please comment and like us. Thank you a lot, guys, and have a great day.